This is that Jiu Jitsu podcast, not that college wrestling podcast. That's a
Yeah, if
different
you want to be
show.
on that college wrestling podcast, I've actually just thought about starting it up as a way to get away from Justin
Yeah,
as
you're
well.
gonna.
So
Yeah, maybe Jordan can be your new co-host because it's not gonna be me. This is Justin Lesko, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt and former pro MMA fighter.
And I'm Mike Callahan, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt and a law enforcement officer.
Welcome to that Jiu Jitsu podcast.
Our guest on the show today is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt from Des Moines, Iowa. He's planning on hosting a Jiu Jitsu festival out in Des Moines, Iowa on August 21st through the 23rd that he's calling BJJ Woodstock.
He's going to tell us all about the logistics of planning a show during a global pandemic, and he has a new way that he's getting more money into the hands of the fighters, and he's going to break that down for us as well. We're very excited to welcome to the show Jordan Pietzman. Thanks for coming on with us tonight.
yeah, we really appreciate it, Jordan.
Of course, man. I appreciate you guys having me and giving me an opportunity to tell a little bit about the event and myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we can dive right in. For anyone who may have not seen anything you've been posting about BJJ Woodstock, can you just give us a rundown of how it got started and what's going on?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of tell what the event is. So BJJ Woodstock, it's going to be a 3-day event here in Des Moines, Iowa. I know a lot of people probably don't think of that as a hot jiu-jitsu destination or anything like that. But flights right now are from just about any major city in the entire U.S. for that weekend are under $200. So it is a reasonable place for everybody to go, but it's going to kick things off Friday night with a free concert and weigh-in show. We'll have the weigh-ins for our professional card that will be taking place on Saturday night, and then we'll also have a concert going with some local music acts intertwined between the weigh-ins to keep people there and having a good time throughout the night. And then Saturday morning, we're doing an open tournament for everybody, kids, teens, adults, masters, gi and no gi. It's round robin, so people get plenty of matches. And that's an open tournament for everybody, so they can register for that during the day. And then at night in the auditorium, we have our professional card. And that's going to be some of Jiu-Jitsu's best kept secrets and some of the lesser known stars of our sports battling it out on our stage in a super fight format. And then Sunday is the festival. That's the BJJ Woodstock. That's when we're going to have like a free roam festival of seminars in jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling. There's going to be experts in yoga, meditation, hypnotism, sports psychology, all kinds of different booths and things going on there the day of Sunday. And that's a free event for everybody to attend. And then each of the seminars or the classes or the demonstrations are donation based. So that allows the money to go directly from the hands of the consumers into the hands of the presenters and the athletes that are putting on the seminars and classes there at the festival on Sunday. So that's a kind of a long-winded explanation of what it is, but like I said, 3 days of peace and jiu-jitsu. That's the tagline.
I like that tagline. When I was doing some research, the two things I liked the best were the tagline and then how you had talked about, like you had just said, giving a platform to some of jiu-jitsu's best kept secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big part of what we've done as a promotion in general ever since Subspectrum's been around. We're not going out there trying to, get the biggest sponsor so that we can make the biggest fight. We're not going to pull Gordon Ryan in and pay him $20,000 for a match or anything like that, where we're about this slow, steady, sustainable growth of the sport. And by building up these stars who otherwise might not get a platform to kind of showcase their skills, it makes the sport bigger. It's going to allow athletes to be able to make more. And in general, it's just going to grow the sport and be a positive thing. So that's something that I'm really pushing for.
So how long so for those of the listeners that don't know, Subspectrum is your company, right? You've been running tournaments with Subspectrum?
Yep.
And how long's that been around for?
So it's been a little bit over 3 years ago. We ran our very first, it was just a tiny, 2 16-man tournaments at our gym 3 years ago in April. And then it's kind of blossomed into this big event thing. So, it started out as just small cash prize brackets, and then we made it an open tournament and added in the super fight show aspect, and now we're moving into doing concerts and other events around the jiu-jitsu events. So it's been really cool to see how it's evolved over the last 3 years.
With BJJ Woodstock, has Has this been something you've been planning for a long time? Did what's happening right now with the virus and everything accelerate those plans or slow those plans down?
I've kind of said this on a couple other podcasts when people ask like similar questions. And if I'm being completely honest, I feel like I've been kind of preparing for this type of event like pretty much my entire life. My mom tells me when I was like 4 years old, I was like planning out my birthday parties. Like, okay, so this is when we're gonna eat, and like this is when we're gonna go outside, and then now we're gonna come in and open gifts at 5 p.m. And like I was planning things out hour by hour, but from the time I was 4 years old. And like I said, that continued throughout my young years, like organizing awesome birthday parties every year. I always wanted to entertain my friends and have like the coolest birthday party. We lived out in the country, so I had a trampoline, I had a four-wheeler, we had hay rides, horses, like all this stuff that my friends just like one day a year they got to come out to my house and like do all this crazy stuff that they never got to do because they lived in town and things like that. And then in high school that kind of evolved into like wanting to throw the biggest parties. So it's like inviting as many people as I can from all these different schools and taking every door off the hinges in my house so that I could fit in a few extra beer pong tables or whatever. And then eventually that led to event promoting through jiu-jitsu. So I finally kind of channeled it back into what I would consider a positive outlet, and now I'm putting on events through jiu-jitsu. So but the specific idea of BJJ Woodstock kind of came just honestly throughout the pandemic. Just somebody mentioning that regular Woodstock happened during a pandemic, and just to kind of do something similar and to make it 3 days of jiu-jitsu filled with music and all these other different parts of the Des Moines culture. It's something that I'm really excited to do.
And how long have you been training?
I've been training jiu-jitsu about 6.5 years. It'll be 7 coming up in November. So I just received my brown belt like a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that's where I'm at in my jiu-jitsu journey.
Now we're a little far away from Iowa, so I'm not in tune with the local news too much. But how has it been with cases there? Are you guys back to training like normal? What's the deal out there right now?
Yeah, so I mean, we're basically able to be open. They're still suggesting social distancing, so we're technically breaking the law in that respect by training. But we are limiting the sizes of our classes. We're taking temperatures at the door. Obviously, if anybody has any kind of symptoms, we're encouraging them to stay away from the gym for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And we haven't had any cases within our gym, or really anybody that we know from our gym. In Iowa in general, the cases have stayed pretty low. We've never gone above, I don't think we've ever gone above 15 deaths in a day. So I know that's like, I'm not trying to downplay death or anything like that, but
no, I mean,
but we haven't seen as serious of an outbreak as obviously you see in some of the bigger states and out on the coasts. So we're definitely very fortunate to live in a place where we're almost like naturally socially distanced. Like all the towns are literally like 10 miles apart, and there's people don't get too close. They're really friendly and give you plenty of space to get past in the grocery store, things like that. Like we've almost been social distancing our entire lives. So I think that definitely does play a little bit into it, combined with the fact that we're not as densely populated as these other areas. But yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you mentioned some up and comers, but you got the Watson versus Layton fight on there, and they're two fucking monsters, right? Like those guys are going to throw down on the card. Do they both train out there?
So Matt Layton, he trains very close to here in Iowa City, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. He just recently opened his own gym, Citadel BJJ, and he's got already a really, really good following at his gym. He's got some really good blue belts that are coming up, and he's building a really strong program out there. Jake is actually from Arizona. He's somebody who I met through doing like podcasts. We were doing the Verbal Tap podcast. Like I said, Matt has a really strong team. He brings a lot of people to the tournament. His team supports the event really well, so I always try to find him matches. And this was one I definitely wanted to make, and they were both down for it. Stylistically, I think it's exciting. They both have they're known for having really good guards, but I think they both have really underrated top games. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes the top in that match, and if they're able to dominate in those positions. So yeah, I'm excited for that match, and then some of the other matches on the card as well.
We actually have like the guy who owns Citadel BJJ with Matt Layton is Jim Kelly.
Yep.
And he's actually from out this way. He was at our school a few times way back when, but he's friends with the owner of Revolution, where Justin trains at now. So he's got PA ties, and
Nice.
it's good to
Small
see that they're
world.
thriving. I know that he came out he was out there with the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, right? And that's how he ended up getting out there, and then he linked up with Matt Layton. So
yeah, they have a really, really strong jiu-jitsu program at the University of Iowa. They've had a ton of like purple, brown, and black belts come up through that system, just right there at the college. So they've been really successful, and now that they've opened their own gym, they've continued that success. So it's good to see.
that's awesome.
Yeah, Mike's also a college wrestling nerd, so I think we should move on before he goes down a wormhole.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Iowa wrestling? Like, let's go. Anything you need.
This is that jiu-jitsu podcast, not that college wrestling podcast. That's
if you want to be on that college wrestling podcast, I've actually just thought about starting it up as a way to get away from Justin.
Yeah,
you're gonna. So.
Yeah, maybe Jordan can be your new co-host because it's not going to be me.
I'm not super up to date on everything wrestling, but I could probably still talk some.
Jordan, I actually first saw you on Instagram at the beginning of the pandemic because every day part of like my daily routine would be go on Instagram, see how Jordan's beating up his chair today, what techniques can I use to drill. Where did that start and how did that snowball into, I think it was like at one point you were posting a couple times a day, I was seeing chair takedowns, chair guard passes.
The momentum of that was kind of crazy, but I was just kind of like messing around, joking one day because I was making videos for my kids' class. We were still hosting like a virtual kids' class 3 days a week. So I was trying to think of just like innovative ways for them to be able to train at home. And I was trying to be a little bit funny too. So I made one of those videos for them and they got a huge kick out of it. And I was like, you know what, I'll just start throwing these up on Instagram. Like if I make these. And it just like, became like this game with myself of like, what can I do to this chair that actually looks like a legit jiu-jitsu move and like actually have it look smooth and like it's a good technique video, not just like kind of kicking it together and everything. So like every day I would just kind of wake up and it was kind of my routine, a way of like keeping me engaged, thinking about jiu-jitsu, because a chair does have a really good base for structural legs that keeps it, standing upright. So if you're thinking about doing it without brute force, you really have to think about what technique it's going to take to sweep a chair, to submit a chair, whatever. I actually think that helped me keep my mind engaged during the quarantine. So like I said, it just kind of snowballed and I kept going. And then eventually I kind of just ran out of things that I could actually do. It's like,
I mean, there's only so much you can do to a chair.
Yeah. I was like, I've pretty much done everything at this point. Like, I'm sure there's somebody out there that can think of something else, but I'm done.
Well, so I guess the chair can take partial credit for BJJ Woodstock because it kept your mind engaged, which led to Woodstock.
It led to this whole thing.
Exactly. I needed it. I needed just to keep my mind on it. And then I wasn't even thinking about events at the beginning of the pandemic, obviously, because we were supposed to put on an event at the end of May, and then the pandemic hit, and I just pretty much knew right away based on the way things were going that it wasn't going to happen, even though we were like 8 to 10 weeks out. So I had already put it in the back of my head that we weren't going to be able to put on an event, and just was thinking about other things, I guess.
Now, is there plans to make this annual thing? Is this something you want to try to repeat, or is it sort of let's see how this first one goes and go from there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always just looking forward to the first thing just to see how this all turns out, how people receive it and stuff. But I think we have some really good ideas, and I think it's being received very well. And even if this particular event isn't as successful or as big as I want it to be, I know that that's going to lead to bigger successes in the future. So I would definitely like to make this a 1 year or once a year thing where we do this 3-day festival. I've actually got a name for the one for next year already thought up, and we're already trademarking it and everything because I think it's genius. But so yeah, it's something we want to try to do every year with just kind of like normal tournaments and super fight shows sprinkled throughout as well. We're really happy with the venue that we've acquired here in Des Moines. It's an incredible renovation project. It's an old school that turned into a church, then it was vacant for many years, and then a guy bought it and he's completely renovated it. They're like putting in a hotel inside of it and a restaurant. And this auditorium is just going to be perfect for everything that we want to do. It's like camera wise, it's the same setup you would see for like a Joe Rogan or a Dave Chappelle comedy special. So the fact that we have those tools at our disposal to be able to broadcast a jiu-jitsu event is going to be huge for us. And we kind of want to keep the event right here in Des Moines. That's kind of the idea at this time.
How many people are you expecting for this? I saw on the Instagram page that you had to limit it a little bit due to the pandemic and the social distancing, but
yeah, we have to create like a visual, it's going to be reasonable. Like you can go near your family members and stuff, but we kind of have to create this visual of social distancing by having like one chair and then 3 chairs empty and then one chair and then 3 chairs empty. It's silly, but we've got to do it. But we had initially projected that we would definitely sell out that auditorium and then some. We were going to probably have to have some tables. So it would have been like 600 plus seats. And then now where we're limited to 250, we might be able to squeeze a little bit more than that in there with tables and whatnot. But I definitely don't expect those tickets to last long, especially once we start announcing some of the more local matchups. Those guys will obviously sell a lot of tickets, and 250 will go really quickly. So
I'm sure.
Have you had a lot of applications from fighters trying to get on the show? Is it been more than you've expected or about what you expected to see?
It's been like way more than I expected and way more than we've ever had for any other event. I think in the past, like it was a specific event and a specific weight class, so there was a lot less, but we'd only had like 90 applications. This one, we're pushing almost 300 applications.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's insane to me. Like I couldn't believe that many fighters or that many people want to be on the show. So in the past, it's been kind of like hard to put together matchups. This time, I don't think we're going to have any problem. Like there's plenty of people from local gyms or within a 3 to 4 hour drive that we can put together a really good card. I'm excited about that.
Now, are you tasked with like the matchmaking? Is there a brain trust that's at the center of this thing to put these matches together? Or
so that's mostly me. I'm definitely bouncing these ideas off of like friends and colleagues and people in the community that other promoters and things like that. So I get a lot of help from other promoters and people in the sport as well. Just like who do you think would go good against this guy from the Midwest? Because there's always people that know or have heard of people from different areas that maybe another promoter hasn't. So it's good to have those people at your disposal. But yeah, I specifically pretty much make a lot of the matchups. I'm the one communicating with fighters, all of that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the camera setup and everything. Where can people watch it if they're not in Des Moines?
So that you can watch it on the Subspectrum YouTube channel.
Is it going to be a live stream, or is it you going to post it like after the fact?
It'll be live. Yep. So
That's awesome.
Anybody
Cool.
that's not at the event, we're so so we feel so strongly about the product that we're going to be able to put out there that like by putting it out free, we know that like on the day of the event, even if only 400 people tune in at the first hour and a half, like those people are going to share it and people are going to see like the high quality production that we're putting out there. So we know the day of the event's going to be like our kind of like our coming out moment. Like we do all this planning leading up to the event, but we know on the night of the show, like that thing's going to get shared thousands of times. And like I believe that everybody in the jiu-jitsu community is going to watch it, just because there's not going to be a lot of other things going on, and because of the high product that we're going to be able to put out.
I know that you said that that Jake's going to be out there. You put something on YouTube now. You're going to have commentators and everything. Is he kind of spearheading the commentating?
Yeah. So him and his co-host for the Open Guard cast, Danny O'Donnell, they're going to be the official commentary team. So Jake's competing, and it'll most likely be the main event, the last match on the card. So he'll be commentating for however long he wants leading up to that point, and then he could take off at that point. And then we also have another friend of ours that'll be jumping in on commentary, and then we'll probably have fighters coming off after they win and sitting down at the commentary table as well. So we'll have rotating guests and other people that can work in with them as well.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be cool for those guys.
Yeah. You got this whole thing planned out, man. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, and it's the first time where I feel like I've been able to pass tasks off to other people, so that's exciting. In the past, I didn't have a lot of people around me that I trusted, and now I really feel like I have the crew and the freedom to be able to pull off a lot of the ideas that I've had for years, but just didn't have the equipment or the staff to do so.
Yeah, you need that team, man. When you're planning a big event like this, you need that team to lean on. So the event is sort of functioning like a charity. Can you tell us how that's working and where that's going?
Yeah, so in the first couple days of announcing of the event, like probably I think 8 to 10 people reached out to me and wanted to donate $100 just to the cause. They loved the philosophy behind BJJ Woodstock. They thought that some of the ideas that I had for creating these additional avenues for financial security throughout the event for the athletes was a really interesting thing, and they wanted to be a part of it. So I immediately had to decide what I was going to do with that money, because I didn't just want to throw it on top of the profit that I was going to make for the rest of the event. So I decided we were going to do a program, and it's an idea that I kind of stole from Andrew Yang when he was running for president. He had an idea for democracy dollars, and what it was is you would give a virtual $100 to every U.S. citizen, and they would be able to donate that to the political campaign of their choice. And what that would do is it would drown out the lobbyist cash that decides a lot of our laws and policies by a factor of 8 to 1. So the companies would either have to up the amount that they're paying into the lobbies by 8, or the people would have a voice, and they would be able to actually make a change. So I wanted to find a way to incorporate that into grappling. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the total amount donated through our Cash App. So you can create a free account. You get $5, we get $5, and then if you want to, you can donate on top of that. But either way, we're taking the total amount and we're dividing it by the number of tickets that we sell to the event that night, and then each ticket holder will be able to give their virtual dollars to the athlete of their choice on the card. And then they'll have whatever that amount is, a virtual amount of $7 or $13, and each person will be able to grant that to an athlete. And then you will be immediately able to cut the athletes another check on top of what they're making for tickets, and on top of what they're making for their purses, and on top of the guys that are doing seminars and things like that. We're trying to create as many additional avenues for money to go directly from consumers into the hands of the athletes. So that's what we're doing with that.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's an innovative idea, man.
Yeah, man.
I've never heard of that.
Very
That's
cool.
great.
And if people want to check that out, they can go to subspectrumbjj.com/donate, or if you go to bjjwoodstock.com, go to the bottom, there's a donate button, and it explains in there, if I didn't make sense here, maybe it'll make more sense in word form. You can read it on there and see exactly what we're doing with the money, and then yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, this is definitely, it seems like, especially at this time, this is something that jiu-jitsu needs. So, we thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe this is a new format that maybe some other people can take some inspiration from and get some more money going directly to athletes. We actually talked on our last episode about how I'm always in favor of athletes making more money. So I think this is a great idea you're putting on here. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited for it too, and I know that more ideas are going to pop up, and we're going to be able to think of more, creative and innovative ways to get money in the hands of athletes, and that's something I'm excited about. I'm an athlete. I've competed. I've done a handful of super fight shows around the country, so I want to be able to take all the things that I wish I could have in the events that I compete in, and put it into my event, and have other athletes be able to experience that. That's something that really excites me about this.
Yeah, I've been reading all this stuff about the show, and I've just been so excited for it to happen. I was really hoping that you'd be able to come on, so we're very appreciative of you breaking it down for us.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for having me on and giving me a platform to talk.
Absolutely, man. Anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome.
Will do. All right.
Thanks, Jordan. Take care.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Special thanks to Jordan for coming on and talking about his show. If you'd like to follow him, you can find him on Instagram at Jordan_Jitsu. And if you'd like more information about the show, you can follow his company at Subspectrum. Also, don't forget that you can watch the videos of all of our episodes on YouTube. You just have to search for That Jiu Jitsu Podcast. You can follow the show on Instagram at that_jiu-jitsu_podcast. And if you'd like to follow me, you can find me at m_Callahan106.
And if you want to follow me directly, you can follow me at Justin Lesko. If you want early access to episodes like this and early access to the other interview we're going to put out this week, make sure you visit us at patreon.com/thatjujitsupodcast. And for the next 2 weeks, anyone that follows us on Patreon is going to get a free t-shirt from the show. So make sure you check it out. You're supposed to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.